when it is adopting the changing environment of the business and all, then I can consider that as a quality information. The information needs to be represented or information needs to be presented in a well manner. Without any faults or without any errors, it should reach to the manager or a person, one who is making a decision. This top level management is a peak of an organization. It will going to make a business decisions, or it will going to have a strategic decision which is required for the organization. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Rohini TS, Assistant Professor, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So in my today's session, we will be discussing about the B.B.A's third semester, the subject called Management Information System, and in short it is an MIS, and I am discussing about the module 2. That is, the module 2 is the concepts of information. So what are the things that we are going to learn in this module 2? So that is, we are going to learn about the nature of information, how the information will be, what are its characteristics, what is its nature, and also we are going to learn with the definition and types of management information, and also we will be discussing about the difference between the data and information, how data is different from information, and also we are going to discuss regarding the information for various levels of management, how the information is required in different levels of the management, and also I will be discussing about the value of information in decision making. So if I wanted to make a decision, how valued that information will be, and also we will be discussing about the age of information. So now we'll say the first topic, that is concepts of information. So as I told you, when we are working with the marketing related things, or when we are running a business or an organization, information is like an asset. For example, if I wanted to make any of the business decision, information is like a resource that is related to money, that is related to time. Information is somehow a resource of an organization. So when we are having this information, I cannot say data and information both are same, because as we all know that data needs to be processed, but this information is already processed in nature. So when it comes to the concepts of information, how the information is important for my decision making, how can I make this more efficient way of representing the things related to the marketing or related to the organization or any of the enterprise and firm. So here information is a processed data that will going to be used in order to make a business decision. So here information is a critical resource in the operation and management of the organization. That is very crucial part, and it is very confidential. So if you wanted to be top in a market, then you have to be in the competition, then you have to be very good at competition. At the time, if you are having most valued information with us, or if you are keeping our information in a confidential manner, so that will going to help us in order to make a efficient way of business decision. That's why we are going to call this information as a critical resource in the operation and management of the organization. Now just imagine, related to MIS, we are making a business which is with the help of computer system, isn't it? So there I can say this information refers to the computer based system. So we are using that system in order to design and to support the operations of management and decision functions which is related to the organization. So this is how we are supposed to concentrate the information. That means why I have to say this information is important in my organization or in the enterprise. We'll say the next topic, that is information quality. I cannot say that an information is a quantity one, quality one, and it is poor in nature. I can't say that, because an information is related to one customer is not so mandatory to be related to another customer also. For example, I may seem that this digital pen is important for me, but those who are working on road, for them it is not so important. That means information is somehow related to the individuals, and somehow it is related to the needs and requirements of the customer. Then when I can say this, I have a quality information. When I can say an information is a qualitative one. So when I can consider this information as a quality thing? Only when this information is high, if it creates a managerial impact which is leading to the attention and situation and action. So when my information is helping me out in order to make a business decision in an efficient and effective manner, then I can say that kind of information is so qualitative in nature. So here quality of an information can be measured in different terms. So there we are going to concentrate on the four terminology. So if I am saying this information is qualitative one and it is having a quality in nature, then it has to satisfy these many dimensions or these many measures. So what it includes? Utility and also satisfaction, error and bias. So what is this utility is all about? For what purpose we are using the system, like what purpose we are using this information, who is using this information, and what situation they are using, why it is used. So that is related to utility, how it is used, when it is used, and where it is used, and why it is used. That is related to what? Utility of an information. And second measurement is what? Satisfaction. So if I am using the information for my decision making, it must satisfy the requirements of an user. So if it is not satisfying the requirement of an user, then user will not going to get satisfied with the quality of the information. If it is having a quality in the information but it is not accessible or it is not satisfying the requirement of a customer, somehow it is not going to make any sense. When I can consider this as a quality one? Only when it is satisfying the changing environment of the market, when it is adopting the changing environment of the business and all, then I can consider that as a quality information. Next is what? Error. If I am using this information or which is a process data for my decision making, it must be error free. So if it is having some errors, that error will going to lead to the fault. Again that fault will going to lead to the failure. If I don't know, if I am new to the organization or if I am new to the firms or enterprise, then I might not know what is this information is all about. If it is having an error, then if I don't know that error at that time, that may lead me to the, in order to make a decisions which is not related to my organization, or the decision whatever the managers or top level management will going to make will not going to be in effective manner. So that the information must be error free and it must be what without any error should be reached to the person, one who is making a decision. Next is what? Bias. So there should not be any hide and seek in the information. For example, if you are seeing all this content, even another student should see all these content without any bias. That means there should not be any discrimination over the showcasing of the information in the organization. So some contents are confidential. So there will be an abstraction, like they are going to represent the things which is necessary for the user, which is necessary for the top level management. So when I am considering this as an quality information or which is having more quality in nature, at that time it should be unbiased, should not be confusing or should not be ambiguous to someone, or it should not going to hide some data of that particular information to somebody. It should not going to happen. Okay, if it is satisfying all these measures, then I can say that that information is quality 1. This is related to what? Information quality. So we'll see the next topic, that is information presentation. For example, you just imagine you're all using social media. Why you're all using social media? Because it is user friendly in nature, because it is having images will be there, videos will be there, some shorts will be there. Along with that, it will going to have animations. We can use some emojis. So if you just imagine, if it is having only characters or if it is having only text, are we going to use all those social media at this point of time? No, because we are all fond of what? Amazing things. We are all fond of user interface which is good. So if you consider the presentation of information is also important in the market or is also important in the decision making. For example, if I am showcasing the quality information only in the terms of textual form, that may not make any sense. But if I am using some of the pie chart, bar graphs and all, at that time that will be more convenient for the user to understand what is happening in the organization, or how can I make a decision by the top level, middle level management. So as we all know that An image is equal to 1000 words. So why we are going to say this? So instead of telling all the story and all, if I am showcasing or if I am showing only a single image which is related to that situation, that will be more convenient in order to understand what has been happened. In the same way here, the representation of an information is also important. How we are showcasing the information to the user, on what way it has to be reached to the user, that is related to what? Information presentation. Somehow we can say this as an art. For example, you have an ability to make a best PPT or a presentation, but if you are not able to produce that in an efficient manner, or if you are not presenting that in a proper manner, that doesn't make any sense. Here also the information needs to be represented, or information needs to be presented in a well manner, so that it will be considered as an art. The data may be collected in best possible manner and processed analytically, bringing a lot of value in the information. If you are presenting it in a efficient and effective manner, then it will be very easy in order to get convinced, or in order to deliver the data and information in a effective manner to the user. This is related to what? Information presentation. We'll see the next topic, that is dimensions of information. So what are the different dimensions it has? I can't say the things or a data which is related to only college things is important for me. I can't say the data and information which is related to personal life, that is important to me. So every information has a different dimensions. As I told, an information which is required by me is not so important to others. The things which is important to them is not so important for me. So that means what? The information is dimensional in nature. It has a multi dimensions. The way that we are looking the information is different. Everything like perspective matters here. Here also this information can have a different dimensions. It has a different visions. How we are going to use the information in different situations, different scenario, that showcase this dimensions of the information. So here you can see that there are three most commonly used dimensions of this information. So we'll see the first type, that is economic dimensions. So what is this economic dimensions is refers? So it refers to the cost of the information and its benefits. For example, if I am making a business decisions and if I am using a information for my decision making and all, I have to think what is the cost of this information. So as I told, the information is related to what resource of an organization. Nobody is ready to give the information without taking any money. So here also this economic or economic dimensions of the information which is related to the cost of an information and its benefits. What are the costs are we supposed to pay in order to get that information? How it will going to be processed? For the representation, what are the money are we supposed to spend? So these are the things which is related to economic dimensions. So next we have a business dimension. So as we all know that business is not going to have a single unit, like it will going to be divided by different levels, and the type of information which is required and related to each dimensions, or it is related to each stage is different from one stage or one level to another level. So here also business dimensions. So what are the information which is needed by the top level management may not be needed by the operational level or low level management. So here also the type of information that I require in each levels of a business will going to be differs by unit to unit or level to level or by stage to stage. So here also this business dimensions will going to have a different types of information which is required by different managers at the different levels of the management hierarchy. So we'll see the next one, that is technical dimensions. So technical in the sense what? That is mainly related to the technical aspects of the database. For example, how I am storing the data, how secure it is, and how can I validate this. So for what time being it will going to be stored in the database. So those are the dimensions it will going to have. So it has a database, and what is its response time, how quickly data is reaching to the customer, how quickly data and information is going to be processed, and also it is related to security and how validity, like up to what time it will going to be present in my system, whether it is on the temporary basis or it will going to have in the permanent basis, that and all things we have to be considered in the technical related dimensions. And what are the data interrelationship, how one data is related to another data, whether it is adjusting to each other or not, it is compatible or not. So every dimensions we are going to consider in the terms of technical aspects, that is in the terms of technical dimensions. This is related to what? Dimensions of the information, related to economic dimensions, related to business dimension, and also related to information or technology and technical dimensions. We'll see the next topic, very important topic, that is nature of information. So now we got to know that what is information, why it is required in the management, and what are its characteristics, how we are going to present it. So in this slide we'll be discussing about the nature of information. What are the nature it has? It has relevance, accuracy, timeliness, completeness, coherence, format, accessibility, compatibility, security, and validity. What is the first? If I wanted to say this information is quality, so what are the nature it must have? So you can expect this question in your examination also. What are the defined information, mention or explain the nature of quality information, the nature or feature of the quality information. So these many qualities or these many nature it must contain. What is the first thing? That is relevance. If I am having a MIS textbook, that should not contains the details of database, or that should not contains the details of any other historical things. So why I am saying all these things? Whatever the things I have with me, that must be relevant to that particular situation only. Here also, if I am making a business decisions, or if I am using some of the information from my management or from my enterprise or an organization, that must produce the data and information which is only relevant for my organization. So if you are getting a messages or mails, or if you are getting any of the suggestions which is not so relevant to you, that means which is irrelevant to you, at that time we are not going to look over there. So here also in MIS also, this information must be relevant to our needs and our requirements. So then only I will be considering that as a quality information. If I am getting a data and information which is not so relevant for my organization or my enterprise and all, at that time we are just going to ignore all those data and information. So it has to be relevant, so that it has to satisfy the first point, that is relevance. Okay. So next what we have? Accuracy. It is very important things when I am retrieving the data and information with the help of computer over the internet. So accuracy is nothing but how this data and information is relevant to my organization or an enterprise, how accurate it is. So without any faults or without any errors, it should reach to the manager or a person, one who is making a decision. If it is not accurate one, or if it is not efficient in the terms of its quality, at that time that may lead to the misconceptions of taking the different decisions by the person, one who is making a decision. So that it has to be accurate in nature and it must be available on time. So accuracy will be considered as second important nature or a quality of the quality information. Next we have what? Timeliness. Information should not be static. It has to be dynamic in nature. It has to adapt the changing environment of the market. It has to adapt to the new features of the software or any of the new features of the industry and all. So it should not be static or it should not be stagnant in nature. As the time flees, it has to relevant, like it has to cope up with the things which is taking place in the market. That is related to what? Timeliness. What is the next nature? That is completeness. So when I am saying this as a completeness, the information must be adequate in nature. That means it should not be inadequate or it is not so sufficient in order to make a business decisions, because there could be a situation of missing the important data only when it is not complete in nature. So here also the nature of quality information should also satisfy satisfy this completeness. The information must be adequate in nature, then only that will going to help the decision maker in order to make a efficient and effective decision. What is the next point? That is coherence. So in short, I can call this as a hang together. That means hangs together. That means how data and information is coping up with itself. That means how it is compatible in nature, how if it is if it is incoherent, at that time it will going to have a irrelevant data, or it will going to have a ambiguous or a confused data. So when I'm saying this as a quality information, it must be coherent in nature. That means what? It must be compatible with itself. How the data is compatible itself and how it is helping to make a business decisions, that is also considered as one of the important nature of the quality information. So next we have format. That means how well we can represent the data and information to the user or the one who is making a decision. It must be in some format. That means it has to follow some standards in order to represent or in order to call the data and information as a qualitative one. So next we have what? Accessibility. So as I told you all, we are going to make a business decisions. We are working this with the MIS with the help of a computer system. Why we are using computer in order to make a business decisions, or why we are using computer for the processing purpose? It will be available all the time. That means 24/7 and all the 365 days, irrespective of the time, date, and irrespective of any of the locations and a one who is using that system, it is will going to provide all the data and information which is needed by the customer or a user. So accessibility in the sense what? It has to be accessible or without any limitations. So it must be available all the time. It has to give the accessibility to the one who is relevant to that particular actions or a scenario. That is related to what? Accessibility. Next, compatibility. How the data and information is compatible with another data and information. So if I am adding a new features to my existing data and information, it should not affect on the things which is already exist. So that is related to what? Compatibility. Next, we are all fond of this security. So are you ready to use any of the social media without ID or password? Nobody is going to say yes. So why? Because we are all fond of security. Only if we are having a security for using all those data over the internet or over the online, then only we are going to prefer that. Here also, if I wanted to say this information is a qualitative one, then it has to provide a security. It should not allow the third person, or it should not allow the unauthorized person to use that particular system or an information, so that it has to satisfy the requirement of a security. Next we have a validity. So validity in the sense what? Up to what time it is valid. For example, how long I can use this data and information for my decision making. So as the time flees, we are going to consider some data and information as a historic data. We are going to use that historic data in order to make a future decision. So validity in the terms of what? Up to what time I can use this systems, or I can use the information which is already exist. So these are the nature of information or a nature of quality information. We'll see the next topic, that is definition and types of management information. As we all know that information is a processed data. So I am going to use the data for my decision making. That processed data may include the collection of raw facts, observations and figures. So that is processed in nature. Already it is ready to use. That means it is ready for decision making. So then only I can say that as an adequate information. So here we have several types of management of the information. It is related to the business levels. So that you can see here the type of decision needs at the different types of information. So what are the types we have? That information which is needed at different level of the management. It can be either related to operational information, tactical information or strategic information. So as we all know that this will going to illustrate the levels of informations, or this illustrate the level of management. So we have a strategic information at the top level, and we have a tactical information at the middle level, and we have a operational information as the lower level or at the bottom of this organization. We'll see about this operational information. So when it comes to the operational information, as we all know that it is refers to the things which is happening day by day. That means it will going to hold the information and data which is required in order to have a efficient usage of the day-to-day activities. So it will refers to the everyday needs for the control over the business activities, and this is also known as routine activity or repetitive in nature, because if you are having some routines or if you are cultivating some routines, we are going to use that in a daily basis. So here also that will be considered as what? Repetitive in nature, and it is also considered as routine activity. So this is related to what? Operational information which is required, that information which is required in order to make a day-to-day activities in the business. Next we have a tactical information. So this tactical information is related to middle level of management of the information or an organization. So this tactical planning and the decision making takes place within the guidelines which is going to be set by the strategic plan. Like it will going to have the data and information which is given by the strategic information, that means which is given to the middle level management or a middle level information. It will going to get the data and information from the top level management. Whatever the data they are getting from top level or a strategic information, then it will going to be processed and it will going to be used in order to make a business decisions which is related in terms of short period. Okay. Next we have a strategic information. This strategic information is an information which is required by the top level management of an organization. So it will going to be used at the very top level of the management within an organization. That kind of information will be termed as strategic information, and these are the chief executives or directors who are going to make a decision for the long term. Okay, like it is related to completion of one project or completion of 4 years, 5 years. In order to make that kind of decision, we are going to use this strategic information. We'll see the next topic, that is very, very important. What is data, what is information, and what is knowledge is all about. As we all know that data is different from the information. So data are raw facts that needs to be processed. And what data can be? So data can be anything. Like I can say that data can be images, videos, audios, any text or any of the character. So it can be anything that needs to be processed. Then only I can call that processed data as an information. So data is a raw fact that needs to be processed. It is in what? It will be considered as the raw object, or it will be considered as the element which needs to be processed. But when it comes to the information, here the information is a processed data which will going to be used for decision making. Already it is processed, whatever we require from my organization or whatever the data and information which is required from my enterprise and all, we are just going to segregate it, we are going to classify, we are going to do some analysis, calculation, everything is done. Now it is ready for the use. So that kind of collection of raw facts or observations or any of the situations will be termed as information. So you can see that first I am going to have a data. If it is processed, then it will be termed as information. So don't say that data and information is same in nature. Next, what is this knowledge is all about? How can I get to know whether this information is addictive or whether this information is important for my organizations or not? Only when we have a knowledge. So we can say that this knowledge is an enhanced version of an information, and it is an appropriate collection of the information. So already it is processed one, that is information. So if it is having a collection of all the processed data, then we can consider that as a knowledge. So now we'll see what is the difference between this data and information. Very, very important question for either 10 mark or 5 mark. So you can expect this question for your examination. Then what are the types of, what are the differences we have in the data and information? We'll see now. So this data refers to the raw facts that have no specific meaning. It has to be specified. It needs some processing. But information is not like that. It refers to the processed data, important. It refers to the processed data. Already data is processed in nature and it has a purpose and meaning. Some purpose it has. So it has some meaning. That will be considered as what? Information. So next, the word data is derived from the Latin word called datum. What it represents then? So it is something that is given. So if it is given, then it has to be processed. It means formations or concepts that is related to information. Next, data is independent in nature. So why I am saying this data is independent? Because it does not depends on any of the fact, because it is in the form of raw facts. But this information is dependent in nature. It will going to be depend on the data. Whatever the data we are giving, then we are going to process, then it will going to have this information. So it is independent in nature, it is dependent in nature. Next, data or raw data is not enough to make a decision. As we all know that we are using the data and information for my decision making. If it is not worth of using it for decision, then we will be considering that as a data, because it is not enough, it is not adequate in nature in order to make a decision. But this information is sufficient in order to make a business decisions. And I can take the example 18 and Param. What is this? What is this 18? What is this param? Whether it is a name of a person or a name of any of the object or a bike and all. So what is this 18 is all about? Whether it is in house, like house number, or whether it is related to age, flat, what it is. So I didn't get anything by looking into this one. But if I am going to write name is equal to param, and if I am going to write age is equal to 18, which is more convenient in nature, this one. That is why we are going to call this as an information. This is the difference between the data and information, and it is also important question. I hope you all understood this difference between data and information. We'll see the next topic, that is information for various levels of management. As we all know that it has 3 levels, top level, middle level and low level. So I can say that strategic, tactical and operational. How the information for various levels of management is required. Information, like as I told you, the information which is required by the top level management may not be needed by the lower level management. That's how the perspective matters, the things where we are using that information, for what purpose we are using that information will also going to be matters a lot. So here also we can see that what kind of information we will be using in each levels of the management. So first we have a top or strategic level of management. As we all know that this top level management is a peak of an organization. It will going to make a business decisions, or it will going to have a strategic decision which is required for the organization. Then what is this strategic of management or a top level management consist of whom? So you can see that it will be considered as what a president or a governor, a chief executive officer, that is CEO of an organization, chairman, general manager and their deputies. All these persons are people who comes under this strategic level management or a top level management. Then what are the functions or what kind of information they require in order to perform or in order to do all these functions in the top level? We'll see now. So it will going to include formulating the broad policies. They are going to form the policy standards of an organization, and also working out long range planning which needs to be takes place for the long term decision making. So they are going to take care about all these activities. Then determining organization objectives and goal. If they are setting the policies, there also they are going to have this objectives and goals of the organization that will going to be specified by the top level or a strategic level of management. Appointing of the other top level officers, and also they are going to authorizing a new facilities and launching research and development project which will be helpful for the organization. This is related to what? The kind of information which is required in the top level or a strategic level of management in order to do all these functions. In the same way, we'll see about this middle or tactical level of management. As we all know that HOD or head of the department and the managers, all those people comes under this category. So what they are going to do? They are just going to oblige the actions and information which is given by the top level management, and also they are going to be informative to the next level, that is low level or operational level of management. It will be in the middle of the strategic as well as the operational level management. They are going to balance the things between those two. They are taking the data and information from strategic and providing the data and information and supervising the lower level or operational level management. So, in this tactical level of management, the middle level managers are between the top and lower level of the managers. So, the manager at this level will going to be have the time. They are going to spend their time for the analysis of the data, preparing the information for decision making, and also they are going to translate the top level management overall things and policies, and they are going to assist the top level management. Along with that, they are going to have a concern. They are going to look over to the operational policies, procedures and methods of the work, and also they are going to guide to the lower level or operational levels of the management. So then what are the operations they are going to perform, or what kind of functions they are going to perform in this middle level, we'll see now. So here, assisting top level managers in executing their functions. So they are just going to give some suggestions to the top level management, and also they are going to give guidelines to the operational level management. So here, transferring of information and material between the different work groups. So it is related to group and it is related to concern about the individuals. They are going to suggest, or they are going to give a guidelines for each groups here. Then preparing plans and program for various departments. For example, you consider an organization, the complete organization is related to top level. So if it is having some of the groups, or if it is having some of the departments and all, that is related to tactical level. And if I consider a particular group, and if I am considering some of the people working over there, then that will be related to operational level management. So, and also it will going to have a management and control of the activities of a lower level manager. This is related to what? The information which is required in the middle level or a tactical level of management. Now, we'll see about this lower or operational level. As we all know that this lower level or operational level will going to have a supervisory level. The supervisor do not manage other managers, but they are going to take care, or they are going to spend most of their time with a subordinating and peers to overall the activities of a frontline employees. They are going to have a concern regarding the employee. They are not going to bother about the managers or what top level is doing. So instead of that, they are going to take care about how the frontline employees are working for the organization, and they are going to ensure that they carry out their daily task with an if they are performing it well related to expectation of the organization, are they satisfying the requirement of the organization, will going to be takes place in the operational levels of management. So the head of the department like HOD in the organizations or schools are the good example for this lower level management, and manager will be the middle level, and CEO will be the top level. Then what are the operations they are going to perform? What are the functions of this lower level management? We'll see now. So they are going to directing all the workers to accomplish their departmental goals. They are going to get a suggestions from the middle level management. That middle level management obliging the data and information which is given by the top level. So here they are just going to look over to the employees or a customer, one who is working for the organization, are they satisfying the requirements of a organization? So next, maintaining the disciplines and order, and also taking decisions to meet up with the challenging in his domain that is related to particular department in an organization, and executing the policies of the top management level which is passed through the middle level management of the organization. This is related to what? Information for various levels of management. I hope you all understood. We'll see the next topic, that is value of information. When I can say I have a information which is a valued one. So as we all know that the information must be adequate in nature. So if that information does not have accessibility on time, and if I am not getting the adequate data for my decision making, both will not going to make any sense in the organization. So here also, when it comes to the value of information, it is mainly concern related to the information which is being used by whom and for what purpose they are using, and on what situations they are using, and why they are using this information. So that will going to have a concern regarding this value of information. So as we all know that information will going to play a great impact in decision making. So if that information is not so adequate in nature, and if it is not accessible on the time for a particular situation, then I cannot value that information. So here also, this value of information will going to be termed as the person, one who is using that system, or one who is using that information, when it will be used, and what purpose they are using, on what situations they are using this information, will be termed as a value of information. Then how we are going to get the value of information? As I told, information cannot be static, it has to be dynamic in nature. It has to apply, or it has to ready in order to adopt the changing requirement of the environment or the business or the market. So if I'm adding a new content to my existing information, then it should not change the value of the existing content. So here you can see that the value of the additional information making the existing information perfect. So I can say that as a VPI. So existing information must be perfect by adding the additional information to it. How we are going to find that? VPI is equal to V2 minus V1 minus C2 minus C1. What it mean? What is V here? What is C here? And what is this V? So the value of the information, what is its value, on what situation we are using, for what purpose we are using, that satisfy the V. And C is related to the cost of the obtaining that information. How much are we supposed to pay in order to get that particular information for my well-being of the organization. And here V1 and C1, I can consider that as an existing set of the information. This V2 and C2 is related to the new set. So if I am adding this to the existing content, that should not harm anything to the existing information. So but it has to enhance the efficiency of the existing system or existing information. Then I can say that that is a value of information. I hope you all understood. We'll see the last topic of this module, that is age of information, and it is also important question for 5 marks. So we'll see what is this age of information. So as I keep on saying, information should be dynamic in nature. And when I'm having this age of information, it is also considered as what? Computer age and digital age. So that means on what purpose the data needs to be keep on changing, the information needs to be updated by all the time. So this is also considered as what? Computer age and also digital age. How the data is keep on changing in the market, what are the changing requirement of the organization, how well it must be. So here age of information is related to that what? Are we coping up with the new trends? Are we using the adequate information for my decision making in different manners? Like, are we adapting to the new features of an organization, or are we adapting to the new features of the market or an enterprise? So here age of information is nothing but how we are using the existing data, or how we are using the historic data to make a decision of a future, or how we are if you consider the previous or olden days of processing of a data and information, that is what? Manual in nature. So that was manual in nature. At the time they were keep on processing the data and information with the help of pen and paper. But if you consider the current days, or if you consider the now trends and all, at the time we are using a computer system, we are using different technologies and software in order to make a processing. That means we are coping up with, or we are changing, or we are adapting, or we are changing our nature of storing and processing of the information from manual to electronic processing data, or with the help of computer we are adopting all those changes. So we are adopting to the new technologies and trends which is available in the market right now. So here also value of information will going to be enhanced by changing its age, by representing, like in what way we are presenting this system. Are we adopting the new cultures or new features of the market? Are we coping up with the new features? Everything will going to be matters a lot. For example, if you wanted to represent the data and information in the terms of characters, for example, you require a data and information for decision making by the top level management. At that time, instead of giving 5,000 words of a statements in a single file, we can have a presentation. That means what? The way we representing the information has been changed. That is more convenient in nature, and that will be very user friendly in nature. That means we are adopting to the digital world. We are all living in the digital world. We are coping up with its feature. Then the age of information, as the age goes on, as the year flies and all, at that time we are changing the presentation of an information, we are changing the technologies and trends of processing of the data to the information and how we are storing it. So if you consider the olden days and all, they are just going to use they were just using pen and paper in order to store the large amount of data. So if they wanted to search something, they have to keep on turning the pages. But if you consider today's trends and technology, with a single keyword I can get to know what is this data is all about, or what is this information is all about. We are adapting to the changes of the environment, or we are adapting to the changing of the trends and technology of the digital world. That specifies this age of an information. So you can see here, information age is associated with a digital revolution. How we were using the data and information, and now how we are using the data and information, and in what purpose and what situation, and which is used by whom, for what situations they are using, why they are using, how they are using, everything will come to this age of information. It is mainly related to what? Revolution in the terms of digital things. So that the phenomenon of the age of information is that digital industry create a knowledge based society which is surrounded by the high tech global economy that will going to spins over its influence on how the manufacturing throughout and the service center operate in an efficient and convenient way. How we are using these trends and technology in order to make a business decisions, how it is helping us in order to process it in an efficient and effective manner. This will going to be helpful for your examination. So that is for 5 marks question. So this is related to what? Age of information, and it is also termed as what? Computer age or digital age. So now we'll see the important questions from this chapter. So as you all know that we have a 15, 10 and 5 marks question in part A, B as well as C in the question paper. So what are the types of questions I can expect from this module 2? So it has what? Define information, discuss the nature and types of management information, and also we have explained different types of information system and discuss the characteristics of information system with various level of the organization, and also we have a important difference between data and information. It can be asked for either 10 marks or for 5 marks also. And what is the value of information in decision making? Can be asked for either 10 or 5 mark question. At last, important topic, that is age of information. I hope you all understood my today's session. So in my next session, I will be discussing about the module 3, that is value and cost of the information. I hope you all understood today's session. Let me meet you in the next session with the module 3. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.